All right, it is time again for Sep Tandy, and this time around, I want to celebrate by demoing a game that I've been working on for the last couple of years called Digger 3. Now, this is a follow-up to a game, obviously called Digger 2, that I did did back in '96 and '97. This is based on a game called Gold Runner 2000 that was done by my best friend Eric Critchlow on a computer called the AM1, which is one of kind of considered one of the predecessors to the Tandy Color Computer 3. And this runs it's a 68K base machine. It runs OS 9 68000, and uh, so he done this game, and in turn that was based on Gold Runner for the Coco 1 and 2, and Load Runner from Broader, which was on a wide variety of machines. And with one big difference in that you had rather than tiny 8 by 8 pixel or 8 by 9 pixel blocks and tiny little characters, the sprites and the blocks were much bigger. They're 24 by 24 pixels. And so in order to do that with and have the same size playfield, which was roughly which varied depending on the platform. On the MM1's case, it was 39 by 24. um, he introduced four-way scrolling, which kind of changed certain aspects of the game. So when I did this on the Coco 3, I did it with 16 by 16 pixel sprites and blocks, which was it was a choice of mine. I forget exactly what it did. It had something to do with dealing with the scrolling. So and of course it implemented the four-way scrolling that he had done on the M1 that implemented on the Coco 3 as well. So of course that carries forward, and I found came across the code a couple of years ago. Figured, it's like, well, let's go and play with it, see how much I can see if I can even get it up and running, because it had been over 20 years since I'd even done anything with it at all. And so I started playing around with it and adding some stuff and sprucing it up and making it a little less bland, less static. It was flat, like a lot of the games back in the day, they almost seemed kind of like certain aspects of the world were frozen in time. You had less animations, and so I wanted to give it some of that stuff. So and here we go with the title screen. This is of course for Coco 3 requires 512K, of course joystick, and of course this I'm gonna warp to a higher level, because to me, the earlier levels are meant to allow you to get familiar with certain aspects of the game, so they play a little bit slower, and kind of build you up to about what you're going to see on this game. Now this relies on um, uh, the CPU, the 1609, for all of the actual rendering. It has because it has no sprite hardware. It has no blitter hardware. So everything that you have to do on the Coco 3, you're stuck doing it with the CPU. Even playing the sound, all of the digital audio that you're hearing on this is being played by the CPU through through a timer interrupt. So you have to there's a lot of burden on the CPU to do what you would find on some of the other machines. So it's actually quite spectacular what can be done with the right approach and the right mindset in getting some of this stuff done. So doing four-way scrolling. I'm not sure that I think their only other game is on the Coco 3 that does four-way scrolling is Pac Dude 3D. One of the Pac games. It's a spectacular game. It's got some great music to it too. Um, yeah, I remember that came out. That was a spectacular game. So you've got a limited number of games which actually utilize the and take advantage of this aspect of the Coco 3, which is really unfortunate, because this adds there's a tremendous amount that you can get done with the capabilities of the Gimme, and particularly with the 6809. The power of that CPU, particularly for being an 8-bit, is just phenomenal. You can do tremendous things. There's actually a number of special effects that aren't in this game, because I just didn't have memory. There was um, certain things with the original implementation that I'm just not really willing to put the effort into changing, just because of the time. I'd rather spend time on building a new system from the ground up, which I'll be doing on my next project. Um, if I'm going to put that time into something. So there's still a lot that can be done. So I had to pull those up because I just didn't have memory on things like water effects, lighting. There's um, a translucency effect which almost worked, but I just without the memory there, I wasn't going to go ahead and complete it. So there's just a lot more that you can do with the Coco 3 than has been done in a lot of games. You've got there are some exceptions. Games like Pac-Man 3D and the Contra, Crystal City. Those were games that really did their best to take advantage of much of the Coco 3 as they possibly could for the games that they had to implement. Because Crystal City is a very very fast game. You've got a lot going on, and then with Contras you actually have pretty much somebody else's game design that you kind of stick with because that was all the Nintendo, and then you've got to make compensations for the Coco 3 and the lack of hardware that you would find on something like the Nintendo that they can take advantage of in ways that we just can't. So there's some give and takes that they have to do, but the Coco 3 is capable of so much more than just even this game. It's almost frightening that it hasn't actually been taken advantage of in that way up until well, never. So, but we'll see what happens with that here in the future. I am quite happy with how this game turned out, and I will be happy to finally release it, put it to bed, and get on to the next project and see what I can come up with. I didn't want to do that. Oh, boy, I just was not paying attention that time. Boy, I died. I died. Yeah, it keeps telling me that. Ah! My timing was way off. I can't believe I did that. And the game is over. So, well, I hope you have enjoyed this demo, and I hope you enjoy your Septandy.